Coming to you from Kansas City, Missouri, this is GovLove, a podcast about local government. I'm Lauren Palmer, the Director of Local Government Services for the Mid-America Regional Council, and your host for this episode. GovLove is produced by ELGL, the Engaging Local Government Leaders Network. If you are attending the ICMA conference in Pittsburgh next month, don't forget to register for the ELGL Analyst Academy on Friday, September 20th. This training will focus on helping emerging and early to mid-career local government analysts who want to develop or refresh their skills and collaborate with their colleagues. The event culminates in a special networking event with deputy and assistant city and county managers. The $30 fee includes the training, the materials, coffee, lunch, snacks. It's really an incredible value. So for more information and to register, visit elgl.org. Today, I'm visiting with Kristen Dorman, the newly appointed Assistant City Manager in Warrensburg, Missouri. For Kristen, public service is the family business, and we are going to hear more about it today on GovLove. Kristen, welcome to GovLove.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you finally on the podcast, and we're going to have a great chat today. But of course, first, we always start our interview with a lightning round to get to know our guests a little bit better. So my first lightning round question for you, what is your most controversial non-political opinion?
I was really happy to have you ask this because I feel very strongly about this. And I think public opinion has swayed a bit. But I think that Nickelback is actually a really great band. And I never understood the bandwagon hate on them.
Oh my gosh, this is too funny. My intern from last summer, Lucas Parrish, shout out Lucas, was also a huge Nickelback fan, and we would talk about this. And he
Really?
went to a Nickelback concert with his dad. I mean, I guess I'm out of touch. I didn't really know that there was like this Nickelback hater thing out there.
They have been, for some reason, like a laughingstock for this generation. And I think people are coming out of that now. But I've never understood the hate. I think they're great.
Sometimes you can't appreciate a thing until 20, 25 years later when you listen to it again.
That's true. I think their downfall was that Photograph song.
What photo? Oh.
Yeah, that's the one that people make fun of, and I think it went down from there.
Do you want to sing it for our audience?
I'm going to pass on that.
You're going to pass. Okay, sorry, audience. Google it. Okay, that's a good one. That tells us a lot about you.
Yeah.
So actually a good segue with your answer to my next question, which is, what is your go-to karaoke song and why?
Okay, so if I have the choice and it's just me, which doesn't really happen often, but if it's my choice, it's going to be Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne. Just, a childhood favorite. However, if my mom, who we'll talk about later, is in the picture with me, it's always something Dixie Chicks. And that is just, any time that her and I have had a chance to karaoke together, we pick a Dixie Chicks song. And if any of the listeners have been to an ICMA conference, you may have heard us karaoke a Dixie Chicks song there.
It's like registering with someone right now. Like,
right.
Oh, that's the mother-daughter Chicks duo. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so not a Nickelback song.
Not a Nickelback song. Too low of an octave for me.
Okay, Skater Boy's a good one. I can see you kind of rocking a Avril vibe on stage.
Yeah, it's a fun one too.
Do you have a favorite song of the Chicks?
Oh, Goodbye Earl.
Oh, Goodbye. Yeah, I mean, that's a good duet.
Yeah. Yes, and good correction on their name change. I forgot.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, right. They're, they're moving forward. Okay, one more question, lightning round question for you. Then I'll have lots of other questions for you. But last lightning round question, what is something you are reading or watching that you would recommend to our listeners?
So I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I have not gotten to read or watch anything in my personal time in quite a while. As you know, I had a baby about 8 months ago, so that has taken up every second of my personal time. However, I wanted to have some sort of recommendation here. So if anybody else has a baby that hates the car and screams the whole drive, there's a song called The Happy Song by Imogen Heap. And it is like, babies love it. And apparently it was made like with science in a lab where they tested it on babies and changed the sounds and things to where they like it. And it instantly stops my baby from crying in the car. So that's the recommendation that I have at this point in my life.
This is incredible practical advice for our listeners. I know Imogen Heap. I've never heard of this song. I can't wait to go look it up.
Yeah. It's a weird song, but it works instantly.
Okay. Great. Can't wait to check it out. And for the new parents in our audience, no need to thank us. Okay, great. Well, let's get into the heart of our interview. You've given us some teasers about some things we're going to learn about you, and I can't wait to hear more. But first, just start by telling us about your career path and how you got into your current role in Warrensburg.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of where my local government experience started was I got a master's of public administration from Arizona State University. And while there, I was part of the Marvin Andrews Fellowship Program where we got to intern both for the Alliance for Innovation and for a local government in the Phoenix area. So I got to intern with the City of Surprise there. And when it was time for graduation, I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do with my life. And I saw a job posting for the City of Independence for their Truman Management Fellowship, which, for the listeners to know, Lauren was the one that had that job posting out there. So that's how we know each other.
I scout talent like hawk people.
Yes.
I have to go to the next time zone to get it. I do.
Exactly.
Okay, go on.
So I had just been to the ICMA conference in Kansas City, which was my first taste of the Midwest, and loved Kansas City. So threw my name in the hat. Luckily, Lauren and Zach Walker liked me enough to invite me to Independence. So moved 2 weeks later to Independence, Missouri from Arizona. And so I've spent the rest of my career here in Missouri. I promoted up to be the budget manager for Independence, and then went over to the city of Pleasant Hill to be an assistant city administrator. And then most recently spent some time with the Alliance for Innovation again, helping rebuild that nonprofit with them. And now I'm back to local government working with the City of Warrensburg as the new assistant city manager.
Awesome. Well, you've done great things. I just take credit for your career, as I do
You
with
should.
my parents. I feel great pride in bringing you to the Kansas City area, and you've done many great things here. And we're going to talk about a lot of those great things. But you're really nailing it. You are an engaging local government leader, which is why we have you on the podcast. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about some of the things you mentioned. So you just pretty recently wrapped up your work with the Alliance for Innovation. You're new in your role in Warrensburg. I'd love to hear you talk about life in innovation. Like, what's the most exciting innovation you see trending in local government right now?
Yeah, excited to talk about this and to give a little shout out to my coworkers at AFI. Something that we really have been focusing on at the Alliance for Innovation was how do we bring thinking about the future and this concept of foresight to local government. So that's kind of what our big focus point was for the couple of years that I was there. So it's been really exciting to see cities start to really purposefully be thinking about the future and talking about, if this happens, how are we going to react to that? So that's been really fun to watch cities embrace that concept and bring it into their organizations. And then I'd say, another exciting innovation that I'm watching local governments do is really challenging the status quo of what the typical work week looks like. So, I think we can attribute a lot of this to Gen Z, who is really good about putting boundaries on work and what work looks like. But we started to see trends of cities moving to 4-day work weeks, and even further than that, not just doing 410s, but actually reducing the work hours to 32 hours. So I think that will be really exciting to watch how that works out for the cities that are piloting that. And I'll be curious to see if that typical work week changes for local government moving forward as we're trying to attract talent.
Yeah, that is an interesting trend that I've been curious about too. And as you know, in the City of Independence, we now have a 4-day school week in our
Yeah.
public school system. I know some schools across the nation have done that. And we've kind of talked about, like, I wonder what that will mean if we'll see more businesses in the community convert to a 4-day week to accommodate their employees who have kids in the district. So,
Right. Yeah. We might all look back in 50 years and say, I can't believe people ever worked 5 out of the 7 days of the week.
yeah, right. Because we say that now, like, you look back before there were really like labor laws, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they basically worked people to death.
Right.
It's like, yeah, we've
Yeah.
evolved. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing those. So, what advice do you have for cities and counties to foster more innovation and a culture of innovation in their workplaces?
Yeah, I was really fortunate to get to talk with and learn from a lot of different local governments in my time at the Alliance for Innovation. And, something that I saw in all of the ones that were doing it well is that they were doing it intentionally. I would say, you know, just putting the word innovation or we are innovative in your strategic plan and then moving on is not going to create that culture of innovation that you're hoping to create. There has to be some more intention to it. So, the people that I saw that were building those cultures had created innovation teams, whether that meant dedicated funding and FTEs to an innovation team, or if it meant pulling in a person from each department to work on once a month, get together and talk about innovation projects. And then also letting the employees take risks. And to do that, you have to create that psychological safety, right? So creating an atmosphere for your employees in which they're not afraid to try new things and to take risks and come up with new ideas. So yeah, that intentionality, I think, was the biggest, factor in success for the organizations that I would work with.
Yeah, that really makes sense. Um, Before we move on to a new topic, you want to make a plug if cities and counties are interested in learning more about the Alliance? How would they go about doing that?
Yeah. Well, the Alliance has a brand new website at transformgov.org. So that would be a great place to kind of learn more about what they're doing. And there should be some good contact info on there. I highly recommend.
Okay, awesome. Well, next topic, I teased it in our opener that for you, local government is the family business. You're a local government legacy. Your mom, Julie Cairns, is a GovLove alum. I've had her on the podcast before. And at that time, she was serving as the city manager in Goodyear, Arizona. Now she's in a new role as the deputy county manager in Johnson County, Kansas. You recruited her up here to the greater Kansas City region, which is wonderful for us who do regional work here.
Right.
So, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about growing up GovLove. What did you think of your mom's job when you were a kid and growing up?
I actually told this story to one of the radio stations here in Warrensburg the other day, but I didn't fully understand what she did, kind of like most people don't fully understand what city county management is all about.
Correct.
But I just remember thinking when I was younger, oh, my mom has to wear pantsuits. And whatever job that she has where she has to wear suits like that and work some night meetings, I don't want it. Whatever she's doing is not what I want. So actually, I did not embrace wanting to do what she did or her career until grad school when I realized, oh, wow, this is actually really cool. Wow, Mom, you've been doing all of this whole time? And I had no idea.
That must have been so proud, such a proud moment for your mom. So, I mean, but when you were growing up, you kind of knew, like, I don't want to do pantsuits and night meetings, but did you always have a sense of public service? Like, what did you want to do when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Oh,
so service to animals, not people. But no, I really don't think that I fully appreciated all that she was doing. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think maybe that was purposeful on her part, that, she didn't bring the work home with her too much. But now looking back, knowing that she was balancing all of that, I'm really proud of her for all that she did.
Gosh, we really appreciate our parents so much more in adulthood, don't we? Like
100%.
when the curtain is pulled back and you start to realize, like, whoa,
Yeah,
they did a lot more than I ever understood was happening while we were
exactly.
kids. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk some more about your mom since she's not here. How has your mom influenced your career choices, or maybe not?
Yeah, well, I will say I would have never applied for that fellowship program at Arizona State if it weren't for her. So she was working for one of the municipalities in the Phoenix metro. So she knew about the fellowship program from that. And, as I got a business degree for my undergrad. And as graduation time was getting closer and closer, I just really was not feeling drawn to any of the jobs that I was seeing my friends get, any of the jobs I was finding in job searching, and I couldn't exactly put my finger on why was I not being drawn to any of these jobs. And she kind of just kept putting that plug in my ear of, well, there's this fellowship program, there's this fellowship program. And thank goodness that she did, because obviously it completely changed the trajectory of my career and life. So yeah, that's how she definitely influenced how I got into the profession. And then, since then, she is my biggest supporter. I call her almost every day. You can ask her almost every day, especially now that I have a drive home, and ask her for advice and get her ideas and feedback. So it's really awesome to have someone that close to you that truly understands everything that you're dealing with and talking about. So we're already extremely close, but it helps us be even closer. And going to conferences together is also so much fun.
Oh, it's so great. Moms always know, right? Like,
Yes.
my mom knew. She was just like subtly pushing that fellowship in front of
Yes.
her. Way to go, Julie. Okay, so we've talked about your mom, but you're a new mom. So, what's the best local gov lesson you've learned from your mom that you want to impart to your next generation?
Yeah. So I kind of hinted at this a few minutes ago, but I think, really looking back, the biggest thing that I learned from her is that you can be really great at your job and also not take it home with you. So, when I talk to people that have worked for her, she is so well respected and so well liked. And I know that she dealt with some really, really stressful things in her career, being a county manager and working in cities. But yet, as a child, I didn't know that. I didn't know that she was dealing with, crazy things and crazy politics and all of the things that she had to deal with. She still came home and was an awesome mom, and I think did a really good job. Obviously she had her night meetings and would have to stay late sometimes and all the things that come with this career. But I think what I learned from her and what I hope to be as a mom is able to be really great at my job and be proud of my job, and also be fully present at home and not take the stressors of the job home with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, good. Well, there's a little bit more to your family business story.
Yeah.
As you know, and as our listeners will know, on GovLove, we have a segment that we call GovLove in Love, in which we tell the stories of local government leaders who are partnered with other public servants. So, Kristen, please tell our audience the deeply romantic story of how you met your husband.
Yes. Well, while I was the management fellow for the City of Independence, one of the things that I did to learn more about city operations and about, the various departments is I would do ride-alongs with all of the city departments. And I asked the police chief, I said, I want to do a police ride along, and I want to do it at the craziest time of day and with an officer that's going to be proactive and is going to find all of the cool stuff for me to see, where it's going to be really fun and no downtime. Like, I want to see exactly that. And I got paired up with a Officer Nick Dorman,
Spoiler
who, yeah, who, yes, we did an overnight shift, and we chased cars and did all of the fun things, exactly what I was looking for. And then he found a way to contact me a few weeks after the ride along, and the rest is history.
Oh man. I mean, I don't like listeners, if you're out there, who else has fallen in love on a police ride along? Like, I just don't think that happens very often, but
No, it's a unique,
no,
unique story.
public servant hearts
Right,
drawn together in, you know, the middle of the night, police in a city.
right.
All right, so you're married to a cop. I Yeah, I want to hear more about that. How do you all support each other in your public service roles?
Yeah, you know, it makes for a great partnership, actually, because we are really understanding of what each other are dealing with. So, he's a detective now, and if he has to work late to solve what he needs to solve, working in local government, I'm completely understanding of that and supportive of that. And same for me when I have night meetings, or if there's something on fire at City Hall and I need to stay late, he's also completely supportive of that because he knows how it goes. So, yeah, like it makes for a really understanding partnership where we realize that the work that each other are doing is important and necessary. So, yeah, it's nice. And, kind of like I mentioned with my mom, how she understands what I do. Obviously, he's not in city management and doesn't understand, the ins and outs of all of it, but he's much more aware of what my job looks like than someone else that doesn't work in local government would be. And same for him, you know, going on police ride alongs and things like that. I feel like I have a better understanding of what he does than the average person probably does.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Um, so you'll have your new sweet baby. How are you balancing the demands of parenthood and public service? Like any pro tips for us other than the happy song?
Yeah, that's my best pro tip. Really, I'm looking for the pro tips because I have been working remotely for the past couple of years. So this is week 2 of being back to in-person work and back to City Hall life. So, I came into this knowing that my priorities in life have changed a little bit. I'm, not as interested in attending every single public meeting that the city has to offer to learn more like I was when I was an intern or, earlier in my career. So I know that I have a priority at home that's important for me to get back to. And so to me, that is being really upfront about what my boundaries are and trying really hard to set those from the start and to kind of stick firm to those. And, it's made me a more empathetic leader too, I think, to understand better, the things outside of work that can be challenging, like my daycare, needing to close on a whim or something like that, where, before I wouldn't have really understood how that would be difficult for someone. And now I'm like, okay, there's a lot to this. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a step parent. I never had to raise a new baby, but I remember when my niece was born, she was 8 months old, about the same age as your son. And my sister had to travel for work. And so I took some vacation time and kept this baby. She was perfect. She stuck to the schedule. She wasn't fussy. But I'm calling my sister like every 30 minutes, like, oh my gosh, this is your life? This is hard.
Yes.
Just like, yeah, no kidding. Deal. Hang up on me. So 3 days later, I go back to City Hall and, some employees popping in my office like, hey, Lauren, I got to leave early, kid thing. And I'm just like,
I get
go. I don't care. Don't explain. Just go. Like,
right. I get
hopefully
it.
an appreciation after just like a few hours of caring for an infant. So yeah, go working parents.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I used to think that I knew what tired was. I didn't.
Mm. But do you feel like you're up in your game, right? Because you have to.
Yeah, you have to balance a lot more in your brain. So sometimes I feel brain dead, but
You're not. It's still in there.
yeah, thriving.
Yeah. So, how has your private life partnership with a police officer influenced your approach to work in public life?
Yeah, well, just like how having a baby has made me a more empathetic leader, I would say that being married to a police officer has also made me a more empathetic leader because when I went through what my career background is, it's all been spent in the city manager's office.
Yeah.
I have never worked my way up through a department or been a frontline staff member. So, I can sit here and pretend like I know what their jobs are like and the things that they struggle with. But until, being in this relationship with an actual frontline staff member, I had no idea the things that they deal with. So it's been good for us both, I think, to be able to share each other's perspectives, because they feel a certain way about things and I feel a certain way about things. And it's good to kind of hear that perspective of someone that's out there doing the job. And so I think it's made me more understanding for the frontline staff that I supervise now.
Oh, for sure. Um, I'm going to piggyback off of that and tell one anecdote
Yeah.
of, um, yeah, our listeners who have listened to Pod Govla for a while may know that, yeah, my husband's a city manager in Independence, where your husband's a police officer. And sadly, in the time that you've been married to Nick, Independence has lost 2 officers in the line of fire. And I remember being at the service for Blaze Madrid Evans and seeing you process in with Nick. And I mean, I thought I was holding it together pretty well. And when I saw you with him, I just like burst into tears.
Yeah.
And I leaned over to Zach. I was like, I can't take it. Just seeing Kristen with Nick, and they're so young and in love, and this could happen to them. And it is happening to this family, and it's awful.
Yeah.
Like, I worked with cops my whole career. My brother-in-law is a police officer. Like,
Yeah.
but that brought it home for me in a new way to just like know
Yeah.
you and know your family. And
Yeah.
so,
Those
yeah,
moments,
those,
those moments make it feel all so much more real, the things
yes,
that they deal with. When that happens, that danger becomes real life.
totally. I do feel like in that moment, it really made me more empathetic and understanding of like, we live and breathe local government all the time. And sometimes you do just forget and dismiss like the
Hmm.
risks involved in this line of work. And yeah, sorry to go to a dark place, but
Yeah.
that
No.
did bring it home for me. So appreciate you sharing your example. All right, well, I'm going to pivot again. We'll get to a more upbeat topic here. So, we talked about your time at the Alliance for Innovation. You're in a brand new gig. You're starting your second stint as an assistant city manager there in Warrensburg. So, tell us about your new role. What assignment are you most looking forward to?
Well, my new role is supposed to be the assistant city manager slash administrative services department director. So over HR, finance, municipal court, IT, all of kind of those internal service functions. And my new city manager boss just accepted a position in a new community, and we are so thrilled for her. Danielle Doolin is going to Manhattan, Kansas, and she's going to be amazing, and we're so proud of her. So my life looks like it's going to look a little bit different than what I was originally thinking it was going to look like. So she has recommended to the city council that I be the interim city manager. So, assuming that they approve that, I should be in that role for a little while until the community picks their next city manager. So, I am excited and nervous, but mostly excited to get that opportunity to kind of sit in that seat and see what being a city manager is all about.
Geez, nothing says welcome aboard like a transition in the city manager.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I mean, there is no one better than you to just like be level headed and weather that change. And yeah, thanks for the shout out for Danielle. Excited for her and her new role. But, yeah, that's awesome. You've got a lot on your plate. How fun.
yeah. It's going to be fun. I have a lot to learn, but there's a great team here, and I have a lot of people I can lean on, and a lot of mentors like you that expect me to be reaching out and asking for advice and help. But I think it's going to be, great.
Yeah. And I mean, thank goodness for like your in-home coach, mom. Call
Exactly.
her up every day on the commute home.
Yeah, she's going to have to just schedule some time on her calendar for me every day.
You know, she's like, that's what she wants.
Oh, yeah. She's thrilled.
Don't I need to help you with your new job? I'll just come over and hold that baby and we'll talk local government. Yeah, she wants you to call her and ask her that.
Oh, yeah.
Um, well, that's exciting. That's so funny. You know, I just pretty recently did a podcast episode with Quinn Cole. She's a management analyst doing economic development work in Topeka, and she had like just started that new job, and they had a transition in city manager. So I was talking about that with her, and cool. So you're going to go through that too.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be great. Okay, so you're in this assistant role, administrative services role. And now you're going to, looks like, be the interim. Do you still aspire to be a city manager or maybe something else long term?
I took my little break from City Hall to go work for the Alliance for Innovation and kind of wanted to see what that life outside of City Hall looked like. And I couldn't stay away, clearly, came right back. I think it was good for me to kind of have that break and realize that I did miss it and that this is where I belong. So I know that I love being an assistant city manager, so I'm happy to be here doing that. And I guess my months in the interim role will let me know if I'm interested in that top job. I think, like I mentioned before, my work life balance is a big priority for me right now, and I've heard a lot of people say that that's why they like to stay in that assistant role because they can afford that better. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, this is where I belong. I'm happy to be back in the city manager life.
Yeah, I mean, having done both jobs, I gotta say, assistant city manager is kind of the best job ever.
Yeah, it's pretty
But
great.
I also know the depth of your talent, and I believe that you will step up to the top job someday. It's only a matter of time. And when that happens, Kristen, will you hire me to be your assistant city manager and fulfill my lifelong dream of getting to work for one of my former interns?
Yeah, so I did listen to the interview with Quinn, and she said the right thing, but I'm going to say the truth. And the truth is, yes, I would pick you over anyone any day. So, yeah, yes,
Oh, see,
love to have you.
okay. That is the right answer for me. It's not the right answer, audience. The right
There
answer is
is no better candidate.
oh, you're okay. This is why you're on GovLove. This is like a
Yeah.
nice little ego boost, but it would be my great honor to get to work for you and
Well,
many other awesome people that I've met in this life and in this profession. So who knows? We'll see where the road takes us.
well, you're the best at what you do, so
Oh my gosh,
I would still be learning.
you're my hero. I've learned so much from you. Your mom's the best. There's lots of best,
Yeah,
right? Like we
yeah,
could let's not
true.
start rattling off names of people who are great in this work because we'll be here all day.
She would give you a run for your money for that spot if that were appropriate and not against all nepotism policies.
Yeah, good point. Gosh, wouldn't that be awesome? Like mother-daughter duo, but yeah, no, let's not go down that road. Okay. Kristen, this has been a lot of fun. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up our interview?
The only thing that I was going to mention is that going from remote work to back full time in person is quite a shift. So if any of you have employees that are interested in that remote work, yeah, just be, empathetic with them that if you do have them come back eventually, it is a shift. I have to wake up a lot earlier and commute, and the logistics behind actually showing up for in-person work. There's a lot more to it. So yeah, it's been an interesting shift.
Are you enjoying it? Like, is it fun to be in person around people every day? Or are you kind of longing for the at-home life?
Yeah, I'm kind of more of an more of an extrovert than an introvert. So I think it's good for me to be out and seeing people, and it's also good for me to have to, get actually dressed up every day and not just sit in my PJs at home. There's parts of that are awesome too. I think it's really everybody has different preferences. I think that organizations that allow a mixture of both is really probably what's best because some people thrive in the office and some people don't. I will say you do get a lot more done at home.
Oh, interesting. That may be a controversial, non-political opinion, but
That's true. That's true. There's just a lot less of the popping in,
yeah.
But the popping in is also good for relationship building. So that's, there's two arguments to that. But
Oh, right.
for the
We were talking about innovation. I mean, it was not that long ago when the notion of government employees working from home was
yeah,
impossible. I mean, if someone had suggested that to me pre-COVID, hey, why don't we let some employees work remote? I would not have even entertained the conversation. Like,
right.
what? No, City Hall never sleeps.
Yeah.
And then COVID-19 happened and we all did it like almost overnight and proved that it can be done and be
Be done.
successful.
And
So,
that's usually what it takes is something like that to where you have to innovate and you have to improve. And then you realize, oh my gosh, we could have done it this way before.
yeah, right. And we're all adapting. And I think
Yeah,
the public has adapted. They've gotten used to interacting with government in a more electronic and remote way. And
absolutely.
yeah, who knows what will happen next? It'll be fun to see.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the pod today, Kristen. It's been great to catch up with you, and we're going to be watching to see what all you accomplish in Warrensburg. Our final question for you, if you could be the GovLove DJ, what song would you pick as our exit music for this episode?
Well, can I pick Skater Boy? My go-to karaoke song.
Yes, you can pick Skater Boy. What, I mean, just because you like it? Does it have a local government message for you, for our audience?
It's just, a great song.
It's just fun. Now, I'm going to think of you every time I hear that song.
You should. And then maybe we can sing it karaoke at a conference.
Oh my gosh. I should not be on a karaoke stage. I mean, it's happened before, but it's generally not good for the audience when that happens. But I'd love to be in the audience and watching when you and your mom get on stage. So let's try to make that happen in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard it here first, GovLove listeners and ICMA conference attendees. Look for karaoke bars in Pittsburgh this year and see if we can get this mom-daughter city management duo on stage. All right, well, that ends our episode for today. Thanks so much to our guest, Kristen Dorman from the City of Warrensburg, Missouri. Thank you for listening. You can reach us at elgl.org/GovLove or on social media at GovLove Podcast. This has been GovLove, a podcast about local government.
She tags along, stands in the crowd, looks up at the man that she turned down.